We see teams separate themselves from each other. And one team that has separated themselves, not in a good way, is the Miami Marlins. The Marlins have essentially given up on the season. Their GM, Peter Bendix, came out after the Luis Arias trade to San Diego and said, "Hey, we're not going to make the playoffs this year," which is insane to hear from a GM 1 month into the season. Really unheard of. What'd you make of that, Dylan?
Yeah, this Peter Bendix guy, he's something else, man. He looks like he came from Best Buy, from the Geek Squad, and he's running a baseball team, taking over what King Ing built, which was a great place, a great organization that they really tried to bring up there. And I will give the Marlins the benefit of a doubt. If you want to call it a lost season, you can do that. I'm fine with that. They have had a gluttony of injuries to their starting rotation. Sandy Alcantara, Yuri Perez, you got Jesus Luzardo on the shelf right now. There are tons of injuries in that starting rotation that it's almost hard to compete when you do that. So if you want to give up on the 1-year plan, that's fine. I will start to be concerned if they give up on these younger guys that they have in their organization, these young players, maybe a bullpen arm here and there, or anyone else that I think can contribute. Because looking at the Marlins roster, there's still some pretty solid young talent on them. I think they missed on a lot of their evaluation in the offseason. This is a team that made the playoffs last year, and a new GM comes in, and they almost was like, okay, let me get my ground set in Miami and not add, which is something you needed to do. Everyone else in that division is an absolute powerhouse. You can't sit on your thumbs and play softball when you need to play hardball. So this is something that the Marlins really need to think about. In terms of this year, if you want to move veterans, I'm fine with it. I personally agree that their season's cooked. I wouldn't have gone public with that statement. I'd have kept it internal. But looking at the rest of the Marlins, I think that this is just a year where they've had a lot of bad injury luck. They can get healthy next year. Maybe those pieces they get are just rentals that are close to being big league ready, the prospects they achieve. So hopefully that's something they can do.
Yeah, it's amateur hour down there in Miami. I agree with what you said. They're probably not going to make the playoffs this year, especially in that tough of a division. The only shot really was a wild card, and it was probably a long shot. But if I'm Peter Bendix, I don't come out and say publicly we're not making the playoffs. Yes, you have a 10-29 record, but what are you telling your fans there in Miami, if there are that many fans there in Miami? What are you telling them? They already struggle with getting people to show up and come to games. Now you're publicly coming out saying, hey, we're done. We're not trying for the season. We're going to trade one of our best players, Luis Arias, to another NL possible contender. We're done. What are you telling the fan base? Nobody shows up to games. And now it's like, what's the reason here for coming out and publicly saying this? I don't agree with that. It's an awful look. We're 1 month into the season and they've given up. That is unheard of.
Yeah, they gave up. That's a true point. They're definitely done in terms of competing this year. But I want to make a point here. I think now there might be some expansion that comes to baseball in the next 10 years. I think if a team relocates, you look across baseball other than Oakland, who's already on their way, I think the Marlins are the next best bet. Yes. Tampa, they've rumored about it. I think if they just get a new ballpark, more people will come. I think that's more of their thing. And plus, they're always a good team. They're always at least hovering around 500. I think Miami right now, they could relocate to a team in the East. Maybe it's Nashville. Maybe they go to Montreal. I don't know. But you look at that NL East, and there's a lot of potential to move a team. They're on the tip of Florida, and no one really goes to Marlins games.
Yeah, great analyst there. And this opens up a more nuanced conversation with what's really going on in baseball and the struggle it is for not just pro baseball in Florida, but essentially pro sports in Florida. It's tough to get people to come. If you're not a staple like the Miami Dolphins, even Miami Heat games, as good as they are, people don't show up. But the Miami Marlins, Tampa, they really struggle there. I think it's really part of tourism people aren't really going there to show true fandom for those teams. It's more of a, hey, we're on vacation, let's go catch a baseball game. And hey, my favorite team's in town, opposing team, hey, let's go catch them. I can't tell you how many times I've been to a Yankees game down in Tampa. There's more Yankees fans there than there Rays fans. It sounds like a Yankees home game. Same if the Red Sox are traveling down there. So yeah, I can definitely see that happening. The Miami Marlins moving. And just to go back to what has been torn down, that Kim Yang has built essentially, they were in the playoffs when she was there. I remember how big of a deal they made her, Kim being the GM of a Major League Baseball team. And not only that, she had somewhat success. And now all of a sudden ownership goes in a different direction. I wondered if this is a play that Jeff Fisher made for the Oakland A's. Hey, let's make this team as bad as possible. Let's move and then essentially sell the team. That's essentially what the A's are doing. I could see Miami doing that. You opened up a very, very nuanced conversation.